I'm going to tell you today how I knew when I knew I was psychic. First off, I've had my abilities since I've been about 6 years old. And the very first time I remember being at a Bible study with my mother, and I started like hearing people's inner thoughts. And it kind of became a game to me where I would listen to what they were going to say before they said it. And then it was just fun. Like I knew what they were going to say before they said it. So I remember like after a couple of times of doing this, I told my mom that what I defined as God, because I didn't know how else to define it, was like, I hear God speak. And she was like, that's great. Say a prayer, like not for it to go away, but just like use it, utilize it, pray for me type of thing. It's like, okay. I never second guessed it. I never questioned it. I just went on with my life. Probably about a year later, I remember being in my grandfather's kitchen, and the stove would always come on by itself, like the flame, like you hear the tick, 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 like if somebody was ticking the stove on. He had a gas stove. And I remember seeing my grandmother, who I never met because she died at 32, clear as day in the kitchen. And I went to my grandfather and I said, Grandma, Julia's in the kitchen. And his response was, yeah, I know. She's there all the time. Like she's always in the home. So I was like, okay. So now I thought that everybody hears spirit, and then I thought that everybody sees spirit. And I remember going through my life, always just communicating with spirit. I would communicate with spirit so much that I started narrating my day to them. Like it was like a game, like Isabel's brushing her teeth. Like I always felt so foreign in my body, like I didn't belong. Like it's so weird when I watch and like move my hands. And I was like always captivated by the ability to communicate with my body. And like I said, I would talk to spirit all day just about life and what I was doing. And it wasn't until I got into like my 30s that it became out of control, like out of control. I had spirits slamming the doors. I had them turning electronics on and off at like 2 a.m. lights, and they started bothering my children. So I started watching my children go through the anxieties that I went through as a child, where I'm always seeing spirit, feeling spirit. They're in my room, different things like that. And I was like, not having it. I had a really bad premonition happen that I just wish it wouldn't have came true, but I knew it was a premonition. And I was at this point, spirit was waking me up in the middle of the night, not only by like using the house, but like also sitting on my bed, whispering, talking to me, wanting me to deliver messages. I had no boundaries and no control of it. My husband at the time was freaked out. He was like, you got to get this under control. Like this is going insane now. And I went to go seek somebody who told me, you're really gifted. And I was like, that's great, take it away. And I regret to this day that she corked me. Like literally it was like a cork coming on my head and like stopped me from having my gifts. So I went about a year this way and I felt really foreign. It didn't help my children any, because it actually increased more of the spirit activity on their end, because spirit was like, well, we can't get a hold of you, so let's get a hold of your kids. And then probably a year after that, I met somebody that was like, I can teach you how to control it. And all I wanted to do was learn how to shut the on and off switch. That's all I wanted. I was like, I understand this is my way of life. I'm okay with it, but just let me have the ability to shut it off and turn it on when I want to. And it wasn't until I got into that class, which was a Reiki 1 certification class, that I started realizing that not everybody. I remember looking around the room as people were explaining why they were in the class. And I think one of my first sentences I said was, wait, not everyone sees, hears, or feels spirit all day? Like, and they're like, no. And I'm like, I thought everyone did. Like, I thought everybody did, because my family had normalized it so much that like, I didn't talk about it every day with them, but they knew that I did this and they just had normalized it. So I just assumed it was like one of those things. Like I always tell people, like, we don't go around telling everyone that the sky's blue, because we just assume that everybody sees the sky is blue. And that was kind of along the same lines. So in that moment, I realized, like, wait a second. I firmly believe, and still do at that point, that I was like, I have this for a reason. So what is my reason? Right after I took Reiki 2 is where I quit teaching preschool, and I immediately started my business as a Reiki practitioner. Since then, it's involved. But that's how I knew I was psychic. That's all.